Hi, and welcome to Prepping Essentials.
Well, good morning from a very wintry looking field this morning. -6 when I got out this morning to start scraping the ice off the car windows. Got a few bits and pieces to bring down to the cabin, just part of the normal topping up. But I'll go and get opened up first, get the fire on, and then come back for these. It's certainly as cold as it looks. Look at this. That's cold. Oh dear, there'll be some ice to break off the water for the chickens this morning. Don't know how the bees are standing up to this. It has been really chilly this last few weeks. Odd as well, we had big freeze, big dump of rain, and we're back to big freeze again. You might have seen the community tab last weekend, the little disaster with the roof. The patching's holding up well, it seems. Anyway, let's get opened up. Oh, just getting ready to sort the chickens' food and water out. In these kind of temperatures, it's a bit of a challenge. So I have to keep water in the cabin so that it doesn't freeze, because outside it does. And then I just rotate out these feeders, so I have one inside the cabin, and as I bring them in from the chicken coop, I defrost them and then top them up ready to go back in the coop again. So bear with me for a minute while I sort this out and we'll have a chat. Oh, well, good morning. Let's pop those by the fire to just dry out a little bit. I've been busy sorting the chickens out. It's cold out there, but the chickens, bless them, are still producing. They went through a little spate of saying, nah, not doing this. But last week, I think it was, they started again, or week before, I lose all track. The reason for my little gap in the video content, combination of things really. I suspect pretty much the same as everybody else right now. It's knowing where to look and what to do next amongst the craziness that we've got going on right now. Take your pick. There is so much stuff going on, whether it's the economy, the cost of living, job losses. A couple of articles in the media this week of different companies laying off staff. Amazon, big supermarket chains, restaurant chains, you name it. The jobs are falling, and it's not a surprise really, because companies themselves are struggling to keep pace with the cost of living for the company, with the gas and the energy and everything else, raw materials price going up. They're doing what they normally do, shrinking the pack size, sneaking in little price rises here and there. But of course, people are having the same problem themselves, and their disposable income is falling, so they're cutting out these non-essentials, or they're trying to find alternatives to what they would normally buy. So instead of buying the big brands, they're buying the supermarket brands. So the economy is contracting even more. So companies trying to find a way of saving money. Jobs is the obvious thing, I guess. So yeah, from a economic, personal finance perspective, it's not looking good out there. It really isn't. Inflation and interest rates continue to be at record levels. Government is trying to say, oh, don't worry, it's going to come down soon, it's going to come down soon. But how many times have you heard a politician tell you something and it turns out to be total BS? Pretty much all the time, I would say. The only thing they're not BSing about is their continual dedication to this conflict with Russia, because it is, no matter which way you look at it, a conflict with Russia. It isn't for them about freedom and democracy in Ukraine. We've heard that before in Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, Syria. Pick a country, pretty much. So it's not about that, it's about this trying to destroy Russia and the Russian economy. Whether that's by sanctions or whether that's by hoping that if they plough enough weapons into Ukraine, somehow magically Ukraine will be able to just turn the tide and roll into Russia. It's not going to happen, I'm sorry, but it isn't. And I just wish that these Western governments that are doing this would just pause for breath and take a look at the damage that they're doing to everybody in their own country. Everybody apart from the politicians, of course, who are not impacted in any way by this cost of living crisis, because they just offset it against their big salaries, second job, third job, fourth job incomes, the little political support money that they get from the various lobby groups and business interests. It doesn't matter to them. They really do not care a bit about me, you and the rest of Joe Public. They've got their own agenda, which is nothing to do with the well-being of the country. It's all to do with political power and the global power game that's been going on pretty much since World War II, for America to remain the sole superpower and in charge of everything, global policeman. You've heard all of these terms before. It isn't conspiracy theory, hence note in hat. It's political fact and reality. So anyway, I kind of digress, as I often do, drifted off there a little bit. It really beholds us all now to try and do what's in our own interest and reduce our dependency on the state, government, the supply chain, corporate big business. Just exploring ways that you can bring yourself back into your own little family group. Keep your head down and keep plodding on, trying to take care of you and your family as best you can. I've done quite a bit this last week. Work has been absolutely manic. Everyone's going through a bit of a testing time right now. I am actually in two minds as to whether I want to pursue another opportunity on the job front. I'll not go there. But suffice to say, I'm having a debate right now whether I want to keep doing what I'm doing now or move to something else that's perhaps a little bit more stable, less manic, and might provide an opportunity for a little bit more time for me to do other things like what I do down here on the land. So I don't know, we'll see what happens with that. But from an economic perspective, that's personal finance perspective, I've been fairly fortunate over the last few years where my salary's not been too bad at all, to be honest. And I've been able to just put a little bit away. I've said this to you, the audience, several times. Try and cut back a little bit, cut down on the non-essentials and just build up that little savings reserve. So over the last probably about 6-7 years, I've been trying to do that, just in case this kind of crises came along, really. So you might remember, regular viewers, quite a while back now, must be a year or so ago, I changed my car to get a little bit more modern car, which would be long-term more reliable. And at that time, rather than touch what I'd managed to be putting away every month, I took a loan out. And for me, quite a sizable loan, because of course interest rates were ridiculously low. Back then, in the dim distant a year ago past, it does seem a long time ago now, it really does, with all of the subsequent chaos that we've had. Anyway, I digress again. So I thought, with all of this potential crisis, with this potential change in jobs in mind, I needed that little buffer, not having debt. So I bit the bullet last week and just paid that completely off and finished it. So what I was paying each month in terms of repaying my loan for the car, I now have that spare as a buffer in day-to-day salary. Also took the opportunity to pay a little bit extra off the mortgage, which I try to do every year, but it's become increasingly difficult over the last year. So debt, got rid of a huge chunk of debt over this past week. And whilst I look at my savings balance and cry a little bit, because it's gone, at least I do know that over the coming months, as we progress through 2023, what was going to pay debt and interest payment to the bank, and of course that's continuing to rise every month, the interest rates are going up, I don't have to do that now. So a little bit of a peace of mind, shall we say, in not having quite so much debt. You can tell the temperature's warming because I'm getting a drip as the ice on the roof melts. Oh dear. Anyway, enough of me. How are things with you? I hope wherever you are and whatever you're doing, you're staying safe and well. And it is the weekend, so I hope you're enjoying your weekend. I've just been out sorting the chickens out, swapped the water out. It is a challenge with these pretty significant sub-zero temperatures. As I said earlier, -6 this morning, and that's not the first time it's been -6. I suspect during the night, while I was tucked up in bed, it was a lot colder than that. Also took the opportunity yesterday to, as I was driving around, pop into the farm shop, get a few more bags of layers pellets for the chickens. Just trying to keep on top of that, really. I was having a conversation with the guy in the farm shop just to see how he was bearing up and how things on the business front for him were going. And with this avian bird flu we've got going on right now, that's been going on for a year as well. Clearly for him that has an impact. People who did have chickens have got rid of chickens. I don't know why they would do that, because right now the cost of these little babies have massively gone up and availability isn't what it was. I've seen a few little YouTube and other social media platform videos about how rich people are who have chickens. It's obviously very tongue-in-cheek, but there's pictures of chickens with Gucci handbags walking around. But it does emphasise a point around this kind of self-sufficiency, trying to insulate yourself from what crisis or other it might be that has an impact on the food chain, and of course cost of living, because if you're not buying eggs at inflated prices, that's money that you can spend elsewhere. So whilst it is a bit funny and a bit silly and a bit tongue-in-cheek, there is a real point to be had from that particular theme around this, trying to provide as much as you can yourself and use the money that you're not spending on the supermarkets to spend on other things. And of course protect yourself in case, who knows, the supply chain does actually stop for whatever reason. Talking about supply chain, global food, this weather that we're having, this crisis in Ukraine impacting on energy supplies, fertilizer supplies, food supplies. Talked about it endlessly over the last few months about how that's going to impact in 2023. Lots of articles now, not in mainstream of course, don't want to scare the public. We'll talk about nuclear war to scare them instead. But lots of media articles around the impact that this weather and this energy crisis is having on the planting, harvest and growing season for this year. So keep an eye on that, and as always, do please keep stocking up. Buy it now. I know prices have gone up and maybe there's a temptation there for people to say, oh well, this can't go on forever, eventually the prices will drop again, but will they? I'm doubting it highly. So yes, I realise stuff's gone up. I have seen it myself in my shopping, but the prices aren't coming down anytime soon, chaps, so get it now while you can. And while you're eating that later this year or into next year even, you'll be thankful, because I dread to think what the price is going to be like next year. I really do. In terms of what I'm up to, in amidst the craziness, there is a lot I want to be getting on with here. There's renovation work in the cabin. You remember I put a post on the community tab about my roof with the storm we had that came through. Took a big chunk out of this corner of the cabin roof. That's now, I'll pop a couple of pictures in the video, the kind of before and after. This is now, well, last week it was patched, and thankfully, as we've gone through this week, everything appears well. This area that was soaking wet, round by the wood stove, that needs some more wood on it. That was really, really roaring and toasty a few minutes ago. It's beginning to die down. Yeah, so that's done, but I really want to redo this roof and get away from the corrugated plastic and go to metal instead. I've toyed with the idea, maybe there's a lesson learned there somewhere, as we went through 2022, because I know that this won't last forever. It's plastic at the end of the day, and it's exposed constantly to the sun, the wind, the freezing temperatures. I can see in some places on there's little ice in the channels. So I knew it wouldn't last forever. I was really hoping we'd get through winter this year and into the summer so that I could do something about it. But I've been kind of overtaken by events. The weather has got the better of me, and yeah, there's a lesson learned there. Don't put stuff off. Procrastination. Don't put it off till some magical time in the future, because that magical time might never come, or, as evidenced by my roof, events might overtake you before you finally get round to doing whatever it is you wanted to do. So yeah, there's lots of stuff I want to do, but the weather is right now preventing any of that. I've got stuff that I want to plant, lots of different things actually that I want to be planting, but it's just too damn cold. I did pull the paraffin heater out last week, and at some point I am going to get into the polytunnel and set that going. I figured since we had this major dip again, and the forecast is for this to continue into next week, and then hopefully it'll start to raise temperatures again. I think maybe next weekend is the time that I'll actually put some seeds in the ground, or into trays and buckets, should I say. I will keep an eye on the forecast, and as and when use the paraffin heater on days that I think the temperature is going to dip overnight into sub-zero, and we'll see how we get on. So keep an eye out for that. Chickens, bless them, have bore up really well with this. It has been a bit of a struggle keeping on top of the food and water, particularly the frozen water. But touch wood, we've managed to do that, so hopefully that will continue. There's a bit of tidying up and organising in general to be done in the garden room and the polytunnel, to lay out the various pots, buckets, whatever, ready for this planting. So that'll probably keep me busy. I might do some of that. We'll see how these temperatures pick up, because the polytunnel is really, it's like a freezer in there. The soil in the buckets is just rock solid. So I physically, even if I wanted to, I couldn't do stuff with it today. But we'll keep an eye on it. I will be back tomorrow. So watch out for some clips. Again, apologies for the hit and miss over the last few weeks. There is, as I'm sure you're aware, so much stuff going on. Everybody is manic trying to figure out what to do next and which direction to look in, and I've been no exception to that. I've been busy, let's leave it at that, lately, but hopefully that will change. So I'm going to have a little potter for 5 minutes. I'm going to finish this coffee off. I might even have another one. I'll bank the fire up so that it can be just simmering away once I've gone today. And we'll see what else is to come on the horizon. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, do stay safe and well. Do pop some comments in the comment section. Let me know what you're up to. Are you finding it crazy as well? Difficult to focus? Let us all know in the comment section. I'll see you all in the next one. Well, that's it for today. I just thought I'd give you a quick look as I head off back to the car. You can see it's still grey, misty, freezing cold. Everything is rock solid. Everything, including the polytunnel. Look at that, solid ice on there. Rock solid. Ah dear. Anyway, let's get myself off. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, stay safe and well, and we'll catch you all in the next one.
Well, that's it for this video. I hope there was something in there that was of interest to you. If you did like the video, please do click on the like button. Also feel free to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. As always, I welcome any comments, questions or suggestions you might have. Just feel free to leave them in the comment section below. But for now, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.